compulsive personality features. It's like they believe everyone should follow the law to the letter, but they don't expect laws to apply to them because they believe they are special. They have a position of authority. Often police impersonators try to find jobs that they believe approximate police work. They might work as a security guard, an armored car driver, a bouncer, a crossing guard, a private investigator, any type of job where they can express authority and dominance. And of course, usually these impersonators get excluded from actual law enforcement positions. So they kind of take what's available. Usually in these jobs, their employers characterize them as overzealous, fanatical, and enthusiastic.
Hello folks, and welcome back to True Crime Phenomenon. First off, I just wanted to thank all of my subscribers. Now, if you stay tuned to the end of this rant, I'm actually going to give a shout out to some specific people that I've noticed in the comments. I can't obviously get everybody, but I at least wanted to mention a few people that I've noticed. All right, so first off, you guys really give me the motivation to keep creating content. And on that note, please like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Also, you can support my channel in another way through Patreon. I've actually got some FOIA requests out that will cost me a little bit of money until my channel is monetized, and then I plan on just deleting my Patreon account because I really don't want it. I don't have any supporters there yet, but hopefully soon, okay? Okay. And now that we got some housekeeping out of the way, I just want to give a shout out to my sources for this video. First and foremost, just wanted to thank Real World Police. I can't say enough good things about what they're doing. They have a lot of great content there, okay? Second is PoliceTube. I was really excited when I heard that they prevailed in their channel struggle. What the struggle was about, not really sure. I've been so busy making content over here that I haven't had the time to go check it out. Third is Dr. Grande. Now, I've been a fan of his work for quite some time, and I appreciate his perspective in these complex cases. Fourth would be Dr. Phil. Always keeping it real, Dr. Phil, thank you. And last but not least would be the local news channels in Orange County, Florida, as well as the Orange County Police Department. So I should be getting the information any day now with the arrest records, as well as all the documentation and the body cam videos. So I've made the request, it's in, hopefully that'll come back soon. Now, today we're going to examine the motives of Jeremy Dewitte. Major Station Chief, Green Beret, 6th degree black belt, the Honorable Jeremy Dewitte. Sorry. Alright, there are some questions I want you to ponder while watching. Why do we watch Jeremy's videos? What is it about Jeremy that makes us watch hours of content? Why am I, now speaking of myself now, why am I compelled to research and create content about Mr. Dewitte? Why do I spend hours upon hours collecting, processing, and editing information about Jeremy? Is it for the money? No. This little hobby of mine cost me hundreds of dollars. It's cost me quite a bit, let's put it that way, in a little over a month, just to get everything started, right? Startup costs, editing software, subscriptions, and all that fun stuff. Now, it's obviously not the monetary gain. Could it be that it's a cautionary tale of what not to do, or maybe is it testing the limits of the law? Jeremy is certainly bombastic in his behavior and interactions with both the public and police, and he obviously goes to the very limit of the law. He really walks a fine line there. Now, some mental health professionals might say he's got an extreme case of ODD, or oppositional defiance disorder, which is characterized by an extreme defiance to any and all authority figures. Now, this can be seen, really well in his arrests. Jeremy refuses to submit himself to the authority of the police officers because he believes that he supersedes that authority. Now, in my opinion, keep in mind this is my opinion, True Crime Phenomenon, Josh, my opinion, I think that we're drawn to Jeremy for a multitude of reasons. Yes, he's bombastic and over the top, but I think he represents a character that exists in society that we all know. And he represents to us that person that is constantly bending the rules and getting away with it. That person that goes all the way up to the line, crosses it, and then crosses back and pretends like nothing happened. Now, we all have had or do have that friend. That person that gets a little authority and abuses it. Now, without much thought, at least 2 people come to my mind right now. I can think of 2 people. I'm not going to say their names. Don't want to embarrass them just in case they watch. But I think we watch that person because they're finally reaping their reward, right? They've spent a lifetime sowing discord, and through Jeremy, we attain a measure of justice not found in our everyday lives. Now, Jeremy's punishment, though I'm sure we all can agree, is probably a bit light. Serves as a sacrificial lamb to appease the natural justice that we all long for internally. We all have a sense of justice inside, right? And society as a whole has a sense of justice. Now, in conclusion, my angle in producing these videos is to see them in a format that I find somewhat lacking in the Jeremy Dewitte community. Now, what I'm saying is, essentially, I'm trying to keep the meat and throw out the potatoes. So I'm taking videos and I'm cutting out the unnecessary data to give you the best content distilled into a single video. Now, what does that mean? Now, essentially, I want to take the videos and cut out the driving and cut out, some of the more mundane talking, and just give you really what you come to these particular videos for. Why you click on them in the first place is to see Jeremy over the top, acting crazy, or doing whatever he's doing. I don't think there's much to be learned about him sitting at a stoplight in his motorcycle. Not any more than we could learn from the rest of his videos, right? Now, like I must admit, in my first videos, I was still refining the process, and I still am, and I will continue to refine the editing process as well as the video process and what I actually see from the channel. Now, I'm not just going to simply take videos, record them, and re-upload them. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm trying to do, like I said before, is provide a distilled version of the best available content. And I hope you enjoy what I'm producing and enjoy the content distilled into a shorter form without all of the minutia in between. Because that's what I was looking for when I went to the channels, and I found myself scrubbing through these videos. Now, in some of my earlier videos, I did more commentary, and I'll always keep this little commentary piece in the beginning here, and maybe in the end, and I'll still do reviews too. But when it comes to Jeremy Dewitte videos, I'm cutting out all the nonsense in between, okay? Now, like I said before, I wanted to do a quick shout out before we start the rest of the video. Quick shout out to YouTube subscribers and commenters, Jan Connolly, Lily Green 84. Thank you, Lily, so much. I really appreciate all the encouraging comments that you leave. Otto, Music Man 10, looking forward to having you on the channel to do a review. Music Man 10 has a lot of background in police and corrections work. Ricky Wiley, and this one, I'm not sure, it's ST space MN, so Saint Main, not real sure what that is, but thank you so much. Char Elder, thank you so much for your comments. JR, thank you so much. Leonard Hill, really appreciate your honesty, right? I try to take any and all feedback as long as it's constructive and done in a way that isn't, just being rude and just being a troll. And, at the end of the day, I really appreciate everyone that comments. Now, I did have one commenter that came on the channel and, basically was giving me a hard time for asking for likes for the victim of Jeremy Dewitte. Now, what bothered me about that particular comment was not that he was criticizing me, because you know what, I'm a big boy, I can take criticism, But I'm here to support the victim, and it's not like giving me a like pays me $10 or 10 cents. It doesn't pay me anything. It may give me a little bit more exposure, great. But more than anything, what I'm looking to do is, in the event that the victim comes across this video, because in the video she explicitly says that she wants this content, this testimony spread far wide. And essentially what I'm asking for is for the people that watch that video to please like the video, so in the event she does come across it, she can look down in the comments and comments as well as the up and down votes and see, okay, people actually care. People actually support my testimony. This isn't about me. You know, of course, you know, I want the extra exposure. Whatever. That's not what this is about. This is about supporting the victim. Okay? And I will always support the victim. So, you know, my thoughts go out to her and her family. You know, I have no words for what she went through. And I just hope that everyone can be kind and, you know, not be a troll, essentially. You know, every once in a while we get these trolls that crawl out from under their bridge and want to complain and say things about whatever, right? But I'm not here for them. I'm here for everyone else. So, like I said before, please like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the best. A lot of really smart people come here and comment, so I just appreciate that. We're getting close to 300 subscribers. Let's keep going. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, and stay tuned for the rest of the video. A lot of good clips coming up with Dr. Grande, and I'm going to splice in some of the actual things he talks about in between those comments. So look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Can I analyze the case of Jeremy Dewitte? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. So I'll start with the background of Jeremy Dewitte, and then I'll move to my analysis. Jeremy Dewitte was born on February 10, 1980. He lived in Orlando, Florida. He has an extensive history of contact with law enforcement, including several arrests. Some of those resulted in convictions. He has been so active in this area that I find it difficult to believe that I've collected all the offenses, even from multiple sources. This guy just can't seem to stay out of trouble for a minute. I've included all the arrests and convictions I could find in this timeline of events. Not everything in the timeline involves law enforcement, of course, but many items do. Dewitte was first arrested in 1998. He fueled his Dodge Shadow at a gas station. He had a large blue light in the dashboard and was wearing a gold badge on his belt. He handed the cashier a prepaid fuel card, which was denied. He told her he was a police officer and he forgot his state gasoline card. The cashier allowed him to leave with the promise that he would return and pay the bill. He never did. He was arrested at his home not long after for impersonating a police officer and stealing $14.50 in gasoline. As far as I can tell, a few years later, he was sentenced to 1 year and 10 months for impersonating a police officer. It appears as though it was connected to this case. I don't think there were any arrests in between, but the sources don't specify. In 2004, he was charged with lewd or lascivious battery against a victim between the ages of 12 and 15. He was convicted and initially sentenced to 1 year in prison.
She's watching a child that she didn't have responsible for taking care of, and he is who's a 1-year-old baby at the time, 1 or 2-year-old baby. You know, and he's moved into her room like
I was like, what the fuck? I was in with my mom.
You know what I mean? And he's her supervisor. He's watching both of us. She got everything back after I got off punishment, like, so that she can be separated by herself. So it's like she's, at the time, like, her hair is cut, she's wearing this uniform that she doesn't need to be wearing, like, it's out of specific, you know, pleasure. She, like, has to stay in her room now because I'm on punishment, so she can be isolated more. You know, there's somebody else who's, like, now her guardian. Like, who is she really going to, like, talk to? the people that she's supposed to be talking to, she's cooking food for them and they're enjoying her punishment. Like, and this is her friend that they've moved in. This is the person that you've chosen to be my personal trainer, you know, my corrections officer in my house.
It's
like,
really new.
And now he's being nicer to me than you are. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's starting an emotional relationship with her now after he's like broken her and isolated her. Now he's starting an emotional relationship with her. You know, like, and she's like, you know, shit, I gotta be happy somewhere in all of this too. Like,
let me just do everything. He what he wants, we go what he wants. I don't know, but it was just,
And she snapped and she said something to, like, you know, people who actually were going to do something for her, and then, you know, they came in and, you know, but even after that, I think you still lived there because we were in, right? You still have to live there for a while until your mom got you out, because that's when you guys moved to Haines City.
At that time, I went to Tampa for like I went to Tampa for like a week. And then I came back,
there too.
And I wasn't supposed. Yeah, exactly. I was still punished when they got the house, when they bought the house in the city.
That's what I'm saying. He did contact you. Wait, he did contact you at some point because he called you a liar and said that you were a fucking liar. And
what after that? It was after Christmas. It wasn't when he got arrested. He got arrested. After that day, I never saw him again until a couple months on TV. It was me turning on the morning news like always. She did 18, and it came up. Terrorists who fight in the state impersonating an officer for the force. I was shocked because I thought I would never come across him again.
Right.
But he was a small world. It was a very small world. And even though it wasn't in person, that shit felt so close in person. It makes it feeling like the past couple of years, after when I was 18, I think when I was 18, when I got 12, I was in New York. I was dating with my mom relationship-wise. It was then that I actually was 18 when I actually, 17, 18 when I actually stepped out and expressed to her that she had no idea. She didn't really know the detail and depth of how it was until I stopped out and spoke to her about it. And then when this came about, she was like, what? What was this?
She was in New York. Well, she was in New York. She was in New York at the time when this came out. And custody of. And so they really didn't pass on anything. This is how this all comes to ties with everything. Because he was because he was an authority figure or somebody like that's been, you know, a supervisor, a correctional, whatever before. He was able to do this in the house under this guy to, like, you know, be this, you know, CO, whatever that he does. And this is how he ends up using that power. The police would take advantage of her, like, and then ruin her life. She gets pulled out of school. Like, she has to, all of this really affected her childhood and, like, where she's at now in life. I never thought that she would have somebody reach out and actually, like, really care and be in a position to possibly do something for her, because this is something that, like, really hurt her and, like, it ruined her life. But what do you do after that? You know what I mean? She picks up the pieces on her own and she's pushed through with life. For you to be reaching out to her with this, that I know that this is affecting her so much. You know what I mean? She's tough. Like, she's a mom now and she's moved on. This is amazing. This is completely amazing. Like,
I was like, damn, should I say something? But the fact that it felt so sincere, and it felt like, okay, you know what? Nobody, it's like 15 years, nobody has ever come at me about this. And when you saw what I said in the news, and then a couple months later, I barely go. And when you said what you said, and you were like, nobody knows about you or what happened with you, I was like, oh, shoot. So I was debating on it for a long time, and with everything I got going on right now recently, and I'm really trying to see the whole other side, like face-wise, like, and it's like, oh, this is it. This is when, yeah, there you go. So I made sure I called, like I said, the only other person that was there that been through it, that was there, and that will fully understand, you know. Some of the stuff that he didn't realize, when I was coming to the park office, it made sense to him. He's like, oh my God, it makes so much more sense now. Yeah, it was crazy. What got me mad even more is thinking of the fact that he didn't file the sex offender. Like, hell, I got girls and I got kids, and I got 2 girls. I'll be damned. So clarity is big. I feel so much better. Like, chapter 5, like, I don't have to bring it back up ever again. I don't have to feel like nobody ever believes it. Like, it's there, out there, it's done. Put it out there, make sure you cover names. Everything else, go ahead. Word for word, I don't care. Like, it needs to be put out there. Awareness, yes, this is, hello, let's be aware. We're hearing straight from the horse's mouth, from both of them. And basically just to put it out there for, like I said, awareness, where like people like, hey, you know, it sounds weird, like you can sit back and be like, oh, look at that person. You know, what they're doing for other people, whatever. Like, now I'm not like, oh shit, look, I think I should do something.
I'm really glad you called, and I'm glad that you wrote back. All right, till next time.
Thank you so much. Until next time.
Good, all right.
In 2009, he violated probation and was given 4 more years. He was released in October of 2011. At some point, soon after his release, he married. There's not much information about that. He started a company that provided motor escorts for funerals. It was called Metro State Special Services. The vehicles that he and his employees operated looked a lot like police vehicles. Dewitte would drive to accident scenes and other places where the police had responded, and then take pictures of his vehicles with the law enforcement vehicles in the same shot. In 2014, Dewitte tried to change his name. His petition was denied by a judge. In 2018, he was charged with failing to register as a sex offender. He was convicted in 2019. In July of 2019, in Chicago, Illinois, he was charged with various offenses, including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. All the charges were dropped.
Their dispatcher even said he pulled it on her, and she said it was for the linkage. Oh, come on, guys. This is bullshit. We were protecting ourselves. This guy is a police officer. Your husband is a police officer. That's a police right there. Look at that.
Yes, Metro State, sir.
Dead, right? He does. He should know better. You don't throw a chair just to get the attention.
I know he was trying to defend me. I ran like this, and he was trying to defend me. Because my first instinct, I was going downstairs.
Probably pull out a knife
And
or
he
something,
pulled out
thinking
something.
that you're gonna end up
He
doing
pulled out.
something.
I was just trying to knock on his window, you know, to get his attention, and he pulled something.
Yeah, that's not. The driver.
Yeah, he pulled something.
There he is right over here. I can hear that story, Steph.
Why everybody else to make anything?
He uses his driver to get the job.
This guy was coming the other way.
All right,
around
you're just kind of going as you talk. Get the recording. Officer, this is not right. Give me a lieutenant. Officer. Yes. Come on, man. This isn't right. We were protecting ourselves. You're a federal agent, you said, sir? No, I'm a state certified agent. A state certified agent. Officer, he pulled a weapon on my wife. What are we doing? She can file a statement. Let me talk to the sergeant. Come on, officer. Okay, listen. Give me 1 second, all right? Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get a sergeant for you. You wanna talk to me? Yes or no? I need you to calm down. It's a long screwdriver. Orange handle. How do I know he has it? He didn't pull it on us. Long screwdriver. Orange handle. Come on. How do I know he has it if he didn't pull it on me? take off.
Sergeant, when I called his supervisor just now, they said he wasn't trying to hook up our vehicle. So when he came back, we didn't.
Well, that doesn't matter. What matters right now, all we're talking about is the threats and all that stuff. And if you're being aggressive and wild, you got to control your temper. So why don't we talk to him and see if you can talk to him? Can you apologize about being snotty?
Yes, sir.
And just eat humble pie? And I'm doing this because you're an officer. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Then you don't want to jeopardize your job. You gotta just eat humble pie on this one and just say you're sorry, okay? And we'll just give them a report. Hopefully it'll go that route. How are you with that?
Sounds good.
We'll try, sir.
So the property manager, he has the property manager's number. He has everything on record. He's upon him right now. Everything that happened.
Could we do a report for you? This guy's saying wants to apologize. If we go that route, you'll be okay as long as we cover you with the report?
For the damage of the vehicle, the curl for him throwing the chair at the truck?
Yeah.
As long as my boss gets that, I'm cool with it.
Okay. All right. So, he has to, because he damaged the vehicle. That's triple damage right there. On top of it. You want to talk to him? Roger, yes. Hey, come on, Carvajal.
Later in 2019, he was charged with impersonating a police officer 3 separate times. I will go through these in more detail. Looking at his arrest for impersonating an officer on September 7, 2019, we see that Dewitte was operating a motorcycle with flashing amber and purple lights, an air horn, and a siren. By law, when he's escorting a funeral, he was only permitted to have amber or purple lights, and no sirens are allowed. He was pulled over by the police when they saw him cross solid double yellow lines. During the stop, the police officer discovered the tags on the motorcycle indicated the vehicle was stolen. Dewitte would later claim that the police told him his motorcycle was not stolen. They admitted they made a mistake. During the confrontation with the police, Dewitte started pulling away from the officers. He was yelling, and he used his radio in his helmet to call for help. In addition, he was wearing clothes that looked similar to what the police wore. He had a badge, a bullet-resistant vest, and the words motor officer were affixed to his helmet. He was also wearing a vest that held equipment, like an unloaded BB gun, which did not have the orange tip as required by law, handcuffs, a baton, pepper spray, a radio, and 2 pocket knives. I get the impression that Dewitte had a very different understanding than most people of the risk involved escorting a funeral procession.
I need a unit up here now so he can take over. It's on my motorcycle. Sorry, you want me to go back to my motorcycle? You have to stand over here. Sorry. I can't, because unless you're going to put one of your cruisers here and hold his funeral, I can't do that. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not trying to fish off. So you want to go? Okay. Sorry, don't you transfer me to here. What happened? Oh, that's such a nice thing to say. It is, dude. I missed you. I know you did. No, hold on. You want me to move my bike car? Hold on. Yes, sir. I need units back here now with video cameras. Now! Sergeant, my vehicle's not stolen, Sergeant. I can tell you right now, everything's being videotaped on my body cam, Sergeant. Okay, that's not a firearm, Sergeant. Let's go. That's a less lethal, Sergeant. So legally, for the per Florida statute, I'm allowed to carry that, Sergeant. 970. Go ahead and look it up, Sergeant. The vehicle's not stolen, Sergeant. I have the registration for the vehicle, Sergeant. I have the registration for the vehicle, Sergeant. Sergeant, get your lieutenant, please.
There is no lieutenant. I'm
Then
in.
get a captain.
There is no captain. I'm
Then
in.
get somebody that outranks you, Sergeant.
Nobody
I have
outranks
the
me.
very valid registration, Sergeant, that shows the state of Florida gave me the registration and that tag. The tag was stolen off another motorcycle. That motorcycle was stolen. We were given the tag back by Orange County Sheriff's Office And then that tag was given to us by the Department of Motor Vehicles, Sergeant.
Well, you have handcuffs.
Make sure you have your body cameras running.
Body cameras are running. Why you have handcuffs?
I'll talk to you, officer.
Okay.
I have the registration for that vehicle, Sergeant. I want everyone on this scene with their body cameras rolling. Roger. I didn't even pass on a double yellow. I stayed within inside the double yellow, which is legal for us in the state of Florida, per Florida escort. I can pull the statute as well. Somebody get with him and explain to him that's less lethal and per Florida statute 960, we can have that. He's saying I stole the bike, but it's registered to the company. Don't walk over here, stay over there. Sergeant, I can prove the registration.
Stay against the car.
Sergeant, stay over there. Do not walk over here. Sergeant, I can prove the registration.
As soon as we prove.
Oh, okay. But you're 15 in me and you're holding me here in front of all these people. We could have done this professionally, not like children. Just because you don't like me and you have a history with me doesn't authorize you to treat me like shit.
I'm treating you like shit.
You are, Sergeant.
Let's go, everybody can move on.
No, they're 12 with me, just like your officers would be if you needed help.
Let's go.
No, they're staying with my orders.
Stay
Hey, officers, I'm getting this all on
Why do you have a
video
bulletproof
camera,
vest on?
and I can promise you, this isn't going to go the way you're planning. Officer, I have my body camera on. So just leave my helmet off for right now, sorry, officer.
I'm taking it off.
Okay. Take my glasses off before you do that. Take my glasses off before you do that.
Let's pull it. You got handcuffs? Where's the handcuff key?
Whenever we're done running the 2829 on the bike and I can verify the registration, we can move forward.
Anything in your shoes?
Henry, where's the handcuff key? I don't have
you got
keys that you left on my motorcycle. I just advised you it's on my motorcycle in the bag. Are we done now, Sergeant, so we can run the tag and get that verified? Because I haven't stole my motorcycle.
We're already doing that, Jeremy.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So then why are we continuing to push me around and shove me while we're searching? We've taken the baton and the mace, and officer safety is clear now. Is it not, Sergeant?
We're not done.
Okay.
Relax. Just relax, Jeremy.
Oh, I'm relaxed, Sergeant.
Airsoft?
It's not airsoft. It's less lethal. Under 970 statute, I can carry mace in any device that delivers it. Pull the statute. I actually have it on the statute. 970. I can carry mace, and I can carry mace in any device that delivers it. Judge has already cleared it in Orange County.
Let's take it down.
That's because the Honda was stolen and we got the tag back from the Orange County Sheriff's Office and then we registered it to that motorcycle. And that motorcycle has that tag. And the Department of Motor Vehicles issued the registration sticker for that tag.
Huh? All right.
Sergeant. Just chill. If it's an issue, we'll figure it out. But you screaming and yelling isn't going to change that. Well, pulling me out, putting me in cuffs. When your car is, when it shows signal 10, stolen, it's a felony. That's how it's done. Registration. And I have the registration on my phone, but you guys are refusing to listen. Just sit tight. Okay.
It wouldn't take long for him to get in trouble again. On September 16, an off-duty officer saw a motorcycle holding up traffic in an intersection. As the motorcycle pulled away, a Chevy Tahoe, driven by Dewitte, pulled into the intersection and blocked traffic. The vehicle had flashing amber and purple lights. Dewitte climbed out of the vehicle and started directing traffic. As the off-duty officer drove by, Dewitte slapped the fender of the officer's vehicle with both hands and reached for his gun holster in a threatening manner, as opposed to reaching to it in a gentle and kind manner. The officer rolled down his window of his pickup truck, identified himself, and told Dewitte that what he was doing was illegal. Dewitte said to him, "You cannot drive in and out of my funeral. It doesn't matter. Get out of my escort." Dewitte then used an expletive, followed by the word boy. The off-duty officer called 911. When the officer drove away, several Metro State vehicles followed him into a park. The police didn't arrest Dewitte at that time, but they did arrest one of his employees. The man was carrying a 9mm pistol. Dewitte would get in trouble again on September 26. This time, a female motorist called the police on him when he ordered her to move out of an intersection. Dewitte was arrested. His own body camera footage corroborated the woman's account. In this way, he really was doing the work of law enforcement. He produced the evidence that would ensure his own conviction. Dewitte has given various statements after several of his arrests. He said that he ran a business for 10 years with no problem and suggested it's confusing and disconcerting that he's having problems now. In 2020, we see a few more arrests. He was arrested for failing to properly register a vehicle in his wife's name. He had to do so because he was a sex offender. In November, he was charged with stalking. The charges were dropped. In December of 2020, he was charged with failing to register his out-of-state travel to Los Angeles, California. He had gone there to appear on the Dr. Phil show.
I'm going to put some images on the screen, and I want you to pay attention. Let's just see how sharp all of you are. Okay, now, who's got a really good memory? Raise your hand if you think you can tell me what you just saw. Sophia, we'll start with you. 5 things are up there. How many can you name? Nurse.
I think I saw a firefighter, a police officer, and then I can't remember the rest.
Okay. You got some things correct, except you all missed police officer. Why? Because that's not a cop. That is actually a funeral escort. Here's a video of a man you saw in the uniform that you thought looked like a police officer.
Hey! Dumb in a blue car.
Are you a cop?
Don't worry about what I am, because I'm a state agent. So what you need to do is make sure you're doing the right thing, boy. Sit tight, sir. Please don't continue. Hey, boy. Hey, piece of boy. Boy.
Okay, now, all right, the man in uniform is Jeremy, and he's outside the studio right now because he says he wants me to see his motorcycle clothes to show me how it does not look like a police motorcycle. He says he's been falsely portrayed in the media and victimized in his community and wants to clear his name. He has even asked for a polygraph test. Bottom line, he's facing felony charges and if convicted could spend up to 85 years in prison. So there is a lot at stake here.
Get the over.
Stop hitting your police officer.
Law enforcement is accusing myself and my contractors of impersonating law enforcement. Nothing could be further from the truth. Primarily what Metro State does is provide funeral escort services for families and their vehicles for a funeral.
Repo, take this intersection and keep this under control.
One of the things that most people don't really realize, it is against the law to cut into a funeral procession.
Hey!
It can be extremely frustrating when somebody that's not part of the funeral cuts into the funeral. Sometimes things get very heated.
Get over!
They start yelling at us.
If you're not law enforcement, I'm not stopping for you.
Where we have to mirror the same behavior.
You out of my funeral! Out of my funeral!
Uniforms are nowhere near the same or the colors of our lights. I believe that there are certain members of law enforcement that are out to get me. My company has received a total of 86 citations for running red lights or using an air horn. We've gone to court 30 to 40 different times where we won every citation except for one.
Get some body footage of the cars racing by.
5 years ago, we started wearing body cameras to protect ourselves from being written inaccurate citations. I personally have been arrested 3 times over the past year.
Just sit tight. Okay.
I was arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer, reckless driving, and crossing a double yellow line. About a week after that, while on funeral escort, an off-duty officer hit me with his vehicle while he was cutting in and out of the funeral. I slammed my hands on the hood to push myself away so he wouldn't actually run me over. I was arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer and assault with a deadly weapon. I feel that we've done nothing wrong. I don't deserve to go to prison for telling people to get out of funerals.
Get out of the way now!
Dewitte's attorney said that Dewitte maintains his innocence. As I understand it, at the time making this video, Dewitte has several pending charges, several of which are felonies. Now moving to my analysis. I'm not aware of any mental health information being available about Jeremy Dewitte. I'll talk in a few moments about some of the common mental health disorders seen with police impersonators and so-called wannabe police officers in general. For the purposes of expediency, I will just refer to these people as impersonators. As far as personality, Dewitte appears to have low openness to experience. There is rigid thinking, low insight. He is not creative. We see low conscientiousness, taking risks and being impulsive, high extroversion, although he doesn't seem particularly friendly or outgoing. Agreeableness is low. We see he's antagonistic, not modest, and distrusting. And neuroticism is probably higher than average. He seems angry, insecure, emotionally reactive, and he appears to have poor self-control. Now moving to the general mental health characteristics of impersonators. Here I am not referring to Jeremy Dewitte. I have no idea what's happening with him specifically. Rather, I'm talking in general terms about what I've seen in my clinical experience and what I've seen in the research literature. Police impersonators and wannabe police officers are almost always male. There are many types of impersonators. I'm going to focus on people who impersonate when there is no clear gain. So I'm not talking about people who dress up as police officers to commit a robbery or to kidnap a victim or something like that. I'm talking about people who do it because of some internal need. They enjoy the feeling of people believing they are police officers. Police impersonators are often fascinated with authority and domination. They like the idea that people will respect them. They are usually unable to get the respect through traditional means, like being helpful, productive, pro-social, or earning an education. They want to bypass all the traditional steps that somebody can use to advance one's career or social standing. They view police work as exactly that. Here's an industry where, from their perspective, the government simply gives somebody a badge, a uniform, and a gun and says, now you have authority, even though you did not earn it. They forget that police officers have to complete training, submit to authority, and in theory, they have to be mentally fit for that type of work. The police impersonator is someone who has some of the components seen in normal police officers, like excitement seeking, assertiveness, a desire to dominate, rigid thinking, and subclinical psychopathy, but they're also missing a few characteristics. For example, they don't have the social skills or insight that most police officers would have. Many police impersonators qualify as having antisocial personality disorder and or narcissistic personality disorder. This is not surprising given their behavior. We see repeated criminality, pathological lying, recklessness, impulsivity, and a disregard for safety, as well as a sense of entitlement, arrogance, envy, fantasies of power, and grandiosity. In addition, it's not unusual to see other comorbidity, like obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. This kind of explains the rigidity and overinvestment in laws, rules, and order. We see paranoid personality disorder, substance use disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, which explains the short temper, ADHD, and delusional disorder, which could explain why they keep believing something that is clearly not true. The social awkwardness components often lead to romantic rejection. When combined with psychopathy and a tendency to dominate, this can result in sexual behavior that is aggressive or inappropriate. One thing I find interesting from my clinical experience, interacting with a few people who would qualify as police impersonators, is they often believe they have a good understanding of the law, and their interpretation of it is very strict, which is consistent with, as I mentioned, the obsessive compulsive personality features. It's like they believe everyone should follow the law to the letter, but they don't expect laws to apply to them because they believe they are special. They have a position of authority. Often police impersonators try to find jobs that they believe approximate police work. They might work as a security guard, an armored car driver, a bouncer, a crossing guard, a private investigator, any type of job where they can express authority and dominance. And of course, usually these impersonators get excluded from actual law enforcement positions, so they kind of take what's available. Usually in these jobs, their employers characterize them as overzealous, fanatical, and enthusiastic. When they work in these jobs, they often say their position qualifies them as law enforcement, and they take special pride in any type of insignia, equipment, or uniform associated with the job. They may buy the same make and model of motor vehicles that the police departments buy, for example, a Dodge Charger, Dodge Durango, Chevy Impala, and Chevy Tahoe. Years ago, they would have been more interested in something like a Ford Crown Victoria or Chevrolet Caprice. They modify them to look like police vehicles, for example, putting small hubcaps on them and mounting a searchlight right above the driver door mirror. Sometimes they actually buy used police vehicles, like at an auction, vehicles that were retired by police departments. These are almost always in bad shape. They spend a lot of time idling, and they're driven quite hard. These impersonators also overstate relationships with real police officers. I saw a situation once where an impersonator said he was best friends with a particular police officer. I found out that the officer had arrested him several times, and that was the limit of their contact. I guess it's just what best friends do. Impersonators strike me as people who would have an uncomfortably long conversation with incoming telemarketing callers. Like the telemarketer would call and say, "I want to talk to you about your car's warranty," or something like that. And the impersonator would say, "I really feel a connection with you. Do you want to go out on a date? I can pick you up in my Dodge Charger." I mentioned before the lack of insight. I think this is a critical component here. No matter how much they are punished, they believe they are the victims. They believe that people have turned on them. They cannot see themselves as others see them. One important note from a clinical perspective: confrontations between real police officers and impersonators are particularly dangerous because here you have two people who do not want to back down and who may have elevated levels of psychopathy, even if the police officer's level is subclinical. This brings us to the next question. Is it only police officers, or do people also impersonate other occupations? Impersonation occurs across many different professions. I've seen people who impersonated attorneys, accountants, firefighters, mental health counselors, physicians, and military veterans. It is important to distinguish impersonation from simply being bad at what you do. For example, it wouldn't be accurate to say Owen Wilson impersonates an actor, Phil McGraw impersonates a mental health professional, or Dr. Evil impersonates a physician. A person can be bad at their job and still not qualify as an impersonator. Those are my thoughts on Jeremy Dewitte. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.